One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
What's up, everybody? Good Sunday morning. I hope your Sunday morning is going great. I hope you guys had a chance to go to church, be amongst other believers. I had a day planned, as I often tell you, as when I'm doing these shows. You can have any plan that you want, and then all of a sudden something drops. And this morning, my wife's out in the pool and we're chilling, and I get all kinds of notifications that President Trump is hosting a meeting in Europe with the European Union leader. And so here we are. And I had fun with the title of this video because in jest I put this up. You guys may have seen it, and it says the EU bends the knee. And I know that just gets the liberals gored. I know it just ticks them off something awful. Because every single day, they're out there screaming about how these tariffs are going to screw over everybody. And all these things are happening. And one after the other, we see these countries coming into line. One after the other. We are the big dog. We're the ones that everybody wants to be a part of. You can trash us in your media, you can say whatever you want, but you can't survive without the American consumer. Period. So anything the libnuts say, anytime anybody tells you how bad this country is, you can take comfort in the fact that not a single country can exist economically. Their entire financial wherewithal is completely dependent upon the American consumer. Trump knows this, and he's acting like it. For the first time, we have a president who understands we are the big dog. And if you want to play on our porch, you're going to have to pay up. Bring some bones to the porch. Let me know you're offering me something. And he's bringing money back from these other countries, which for some reason bothers the media and bothers Democrats. which should tell you a whole lot and why you should just completely ignore all these stupid people on X who are saying it's in danger of losing the midterms. There is no possible way. People don't want to feel prosperous. Even in the darkest recesses of their commie mind, they have to understand if they want to walk around with Samsung Notes, or if they want to walk around with iPhones, they have to have capitalism. They have to have some sort of money to pay for their signs. Never mind their food, their clothing. They don't care about living. They'll get that from the government. But you can't exist without money. As much as you're pissed off about it, the more money people have, the more prosperous they are, the more they can do with it, and in essence, even help the people who don't have any. And so what we're seeing is President Trump going around the world and saying, pay up, pay up, pay up. And so far, they've raised something to the tune of $700 billion. And if you amortize that over a longer period of time, that's going to mean trillions in the next couple of years. Trillions. Now, all of a sudden, that deficit, it doesn't look so bad. All it took was somebody to come in and address it. And then the big cherry on top of the pie, on top of the ice cream sundae, will be the interest rates coming down. I'm going to give Democrats want to cry. He about to give them something to cry for. When America can show this kind of prosperity to the world, things are going to change as they are in just this first 6 months. 6 months! That's where we are. And people are complaining. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So I'm not sure, just a little housekeeping, I'm not sure how long this meeting is going to last. I don't know what the subject is, other than they're going to try and get a trade deal agreed to. It may be, from what I'm understanding, 15 to 20%. And that's why he swings high. Hey, listen, we're going to put a 60% tariff on you. Oh, okay, we'll talk. And what are you willing to take? And he comes down to 15 or 20%. So I don't know how long this meeting will be. This is not a full show. I'll have a full show later. Those of you guys who are looking for the full show, we'll get that done this afternoon. But he's due to come on at any minute, but I've got some pre-show videos for you. As soon as the feed goes live, I will turn it on and we can hear what goes on. But I wanted to show this to you because this is part of what was said today. Listen to this.
CBO was using artificial baselines that treat spending as eternal and tax relief that was in law since 2017 to be temporary. And so if you adjust for that, and the bill does have additional tax relief, of which we paid for with spending reductions, this bill reduces deficits and will help us with the national debt. Overall, the moves that we are making as an economic team under President Trump's leadership will lead to about a third of what's necessary to balance the budget, given the numbers that you just articulated. Mm-hmm. That's just in our 6 months. When you talk about the tariff revenues that are coming in, $3 trillion, CBO believes the same numbers that we have. And again, those are in advance of a number of the trade agreements that we're talking about over the next several weeks. So we're making big moves, and I think the country is going to come alongside of us and see the progress that we're making.
I think that's one of the messages that the Trump campaign has to continue to hammer. It's only been 6 months. Nobody has ever seen anything like this, so it's very hard for them to score it. It's very hard for them to basically relate it to the press because they don't have any basis for what they're seeing. It's driving them absolutely bonkers. And the size of these numbers is causing the average person to glitch over. Trillions and hundreds of billions. They have never heard this. None of us have. And so just in 6 months, all of this is occurring, and the best the libs can say is Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. That's it. That's their only retort. There is nothing else. And so even when the trolls come in, they look like idiots because all they're saying is the same stuff over and over. It's almost as if they create havoc and chaos just so trolls can have something to say. Oh, you pedo lovers. Yeah, that's us. Yeah, you got us. Or, possibly because he's out playing golf.
President Trump is back on the golf course here in Scotland this morning at Turnberry. He'll be playing golf for a couple hours before he is heading into a very important and critical meeting with the chief of the...
You know, it's funny, even though that's supposed to be a dig at President Trump, even though, I'll get back to that, even I just realized it, just now I just realized, even though that's supposed to be a dig at the president, that the liberal media wants to say, hey, he's out there playing golf again, that's something they haven't said in 4 years. Nope, nothing. What did you see Biden do? Looking like a dead fish on the beach. He couldn't do anything. Here's your 79-year-old president out there driving around in the golf cart, making the Secret Service chase him, and he's playing golf. He's actually physical. He's ambient. He's walking. He's hitting the ball. He's out living. What did our other president do? Look like a corpse. That's about it. Did you ever see Biden doing any physical activity? Any? He could barely walk to the plane. So as much as they think it's a dig, again, President Trump is basically calling them out, and they don't even realize it. You're telling the American public, hey, he's out there golfing. Yeah, that sucks. Biden never did that. But you never saw Biden doing that. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
European Commission, of course, there is a deadline looming on tariffs for next Friday. The president has set a deadline for if there's not a agreement brokered, there could be a 30% across the board sweeping a tariff that would really spark a trade war, a transatlantic trade war. So the president is going to be meeting with Ursula von der Leyen in just a couple hours to try and negotiate some type of an agreement. Now, what officials are telling us is that they believe a leading possibility is cutting that in half, a 15% across the board levy. Certainly that would end some of the uncertainty that really has been going through European businesses. Of course, America is the biggest trading partner of the European Union. The two have had a frosty relationship.
Notice how they put that in at the end. Nearly end of his broadcast, he called it a trade war, but then said, we're the big dog. How do you have a fight or a trade war when you are the underdog who's getting pummeled? It's not a trade war. It's a demand. Pay up or shut up. There's no war. We don't care. If you don't want to pay us, then you can't do business. That is, again, a moniker. That is, again, some information that the liberal media keeps saying is a trade war. It's not a trade war. We're not at war with them. We're ready to flip the switch off. That's your opportunity to come to the table, bend your knee, and tell us how much you're going to pay us. If it took telling you 30 or 40% to get you to see we're serious, then that's what it took. But there's no war. The war's already been fought. It's over. Now we just need to know what your reconciliation is. What are you going to do to make us feel better? What are you going to offer your godfather at this point? There's no war. You can't fight a war when you have nothing to fight with. The only thing we want from you is an equitable playing field, or as least as equitable as you can afford. I don't want to see your entire country go under, although you're doing a good job yourself. But there's no war. Pay me or it goes off. That's simple. You found out over there in Ukraine about a war, huh? All of a sudden he's not getting any more weapons. You don't hear about the little Vladdy going running around asking for money, coming in the White House and demanding stuff. Next time he comes into the White House, he better bring his knee pads.
In the past, but the president, when he arrived here in Scotland, seemed to signal optimism.
Ursula will be here, highly respected woman, so we look forward to that. In terms of a deal, we're meeting with the European Union, and that would be actually the biggest deal of them all if we make it.
There is clearly an aspiration, a desire for digital payments, much more so than it was in the past. And this is...
All right, so if you watched my show yesterday, this is the woman who he's meeting with this morning. And just yesterday, she put out this speech, and I included it as a part of my show yesterday. And if you haven't seen it, I want you to take a listen to what she said, which coincides with today President Trump happening to be over there. And I bet you he's about to school her on this stuff. No, you're not going to get what you're looking for. But listen to this piece, and again, my commentary that went along with it.
Growing. We are now, in the surveys that we've conducted across the 19 members of the Euro area, we have more than 50% of the respondents who say we want digital payments.
All right. So this is Ursula, whatever. And they're now realizing what Trump is doing here in America is destroying this so-called New World Order. Hope I don't get in trouble for that. And their idea was to have a digital currency that they controlled, where you'd have to tell them if you wanted to buy some cookies. I don't think you need the cookies. We're going to decline that sale. I want the cookies. Nope, have some celery and shut up. Oh, no, you shopped at this store too many times. Gas, that implies you want to go somewhere. No, we're going to decline that. They wanted to control every aspect of your finances, including your spending habits. And Trump's out here going, not only are we not doing that, but we're going to do crypto. And it's freaking him out. And she makes a big mistake here by actually saying what their intentions really are. They're still looking to do it in some of these European countries. God bless these people in Europe. You think you've been effed so far because of the newcomers? You ain't seen nothing yet. Listen to what she says here.
Well, less use of cash, demand for secure and riskless payments. Where do we stand? We central bankers, we have been operating as a monetary anchor in relation to the commercial banks and the private money. If we are not in that game, if we are not involved in experimenting, in innovating in terms of digital central bank money, we risk losing the role of anchor that we have played for many, many decades. And
Did you hear that? If we're not doing this, we're going to lose the role as the anchor. And that's the role we have played for, quote, many, many decades. They're freaking out. They're no longer going to be able to control the movement of currency in the European Union. And they're starting to wig out and saying, this has been us. We're the ones who have been the anchor. We have controlled this. What do you mean, crypto? I wanted you to see that because there are a lot of people who watched our videos who are anti-crypto. I'll just leave it at that, or crypto novices. If there's anything you've seen in the last week that tells you might want to start getting yourself together, it's that. That woman telling everybody, hey man, we're losing it here. We got a problem. We've been doing this for decades, and now we're on the very precipice of losing control of your money. Now, you don't live in the EU, but this is what they wanted for the entire world. This is what Elizabeth Warren wanted. This is what Biden, well, he didn't know, but Kamala, this is what they were going to do. Imagine every single purchase in your life being determined and approved by somebody somewhere. Watching you walk up to a terminal and put your card in and go, wow, there's 3 cups of cookies here. No, fried chicken, no, you can't have it. Far-fetched? That's what they want. And maybe they can just divert your money. Or maybe they say, you know what, we're going to hold your account. You said something naughty on social media. Ask the Canadians about that. They are losing control because of everything that Trump is doing. This is another plus in Trump's hat that you guys probably didn't hear. You didn't see. And she just let the cat out the bag. You know, we've got to do this. It's our control. We've done this for decades. Meaning before digital currency, they were screwing around with the monetary policy in these various countries. We always thought the recession and depression and all this stuff wasn't orchestrated. And she just let it out. We've been doing this for decades. That should scare you. That she felt comfortable saying that. That people over in these other countries over there should have shocked them and said, yeah, so you're telling me there was no recession, there was no this, there was no that. Everything has been orchestrated because you control it. Here, you can hear her say it one more time. And when I heard it, it chilled me. Let's listen to her again.
In relation to the commercial banks and the private money. If we are not in that game, if we are not involved in experimenting, in innovating in terms of digital central bank money, we risk losing the role of anchor that we have played for many, many decades. And
I'm sure some of you guys heard it the second time. But did she really just say that? Yeah, she just said it. It's not Barry making it up. Control, we are the anchor. We tell the monetary system what happens. It just doesn't happen by accident. We need to have interest rates go up like Jerome Powell. We raise the interest rates. We want to lower the interest rates for whatever reason. We control that. You people, you ants running around, you do what we tell you. If we want to add taxes, very easy. We just add taxes. They want complete control of everything you purchase. Whew. Man, do we dodge literally a bullet by having Trump here. Oh, man.
We have historical examples of period where the central bank monetary anchor was not there, and that precipitated crisis after crisis. That certainly was the case at the time of the free banking in the 19th century. Do we want to go back?
Free banking? Oh, there's free banking? People can do what they want, pick where they want, spend what they want? Oh my God, that was just, it was horrible. It was a horror story back then.
Those days? Probably not. I would say certainly not from our vantage point, as a result of which we have to respond to the demand for those digital payments in order to maintain the role of anchor that we have been playing regularly.
Wow. I can't believe she said that out loud. Imagine feeling that brazen. Imagine feeling that you can tell the population on television, hey man, we gotta have control of your money. We can't go back to free banking. Free banking, that's crazy. Letting you decide what you're gonna do and how you're gonna do it and how you're gonna run the economy. No. And so feel for the people in Europe at this point. Maybe that's why Trump's over there going, hey man, you're not messing with my golf courses. I don't know what y'all doing. Imagine that here. And you're telling me people are like, oh, yeah, this Epstein thing's really bad. Not really sure I want to vote for Trump again. Oh, they might go to digital bank currency. They go to digital bank currency. Could you imagine how things would be here? It'd be so much better. I'd love to put the control of my finances and my family's finances in the hands of people like Kamala Harris. Says nobody ever. That was in my show yesterday, and I'm like, no, I don't get the president's information. They don't send it to me and say, hey, Barry, here's what we're going to be working on. I would like you to talk about it. I just saw the same thing many people saw on X and went, this woman's crazy. These people are absolutely nuts. No wonder President Trump is spanking them so hard. No wonder he's out there going, I don't think so. Because they're telling you how insane they are. And we were this close, or maybe closer, from having the same insanity run the United States. And yet you've got idiots, and I will actually call them idiots. I have no other word for people who say that people would rather vote for something what you just saw because they didn't get their way with some files. Oh my gosh, I'm not that stupid. So here's Howard Lutnick talking about, what's going on with these tariffs, as I just alluded to. Okay, hold on. Looks like the boss is coming on, and I'll have to get back to that in a second. Let's see. I'm going to test a couple different feeds here. We'll go with this one first.
Well, thank you very much. It's a beautiful Sunday in Scotland, and we thought we could cut things short by, and certainly travel distance, right, by having our meeting here. So we discuss options, and it's an honor to have the President of the European Union with us. Ursula's been really done a terrific job for them, not for us, but she's done a great job. And she's highly respected by us also. And we look forward to talking to see if we can do something. We've had a very good relationship over the years, but it's been a very one-sided transaction, very unfair to the United States. And I think both sides want to see fairness, but it's been a very, very one-sided deal, and it shouldn't be. And so we're here with her very brilliant staff, and hopefully we'll resolve a few issues. It's a great honor. You know, we just built this ballroom, and we're building a great ballroom at the White House. The White House has wanted a ballroom for 150 years, but they never had a real estate person. You know, no president knew how to build a ballroom. But this just opened, you know, relatively short time ago.
Me here. Indeed, it is today about trade between the European Union and the United States. We're together the two largest economies worldwide.
Right.
If you look at the trade volume, it's the biggest trade volume globally, with $1.7 trillion among us. And if you look at our markets, it's a huge market, 800 million people if you take the United States and the European Union. So I'm very much looking forward to the discussions we will have now. Our staff have done some of the heavy lifting, but now it's on us.
Yeah.
And you're known as a tough negotiator and deal maker.
But fair.
Is in front and fair. And what is in front of us?
That's less important.
If we are successful, I think it would be the biggest deal each of us has ever struck. So I'm very much looking forward.
Ever struck by anybody? That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Right now we have that honor goes to Japan. We just struck a deal with Japan, as you know. And we're very close to a deal with China. We really sort of made a deal with China, but we'll see how that goes. And we have numerous other deals. And mostly I'm just going to charge tariffs. And, you know, there's not a deal per se, but people are going to pay tariffs. And we're doing them at the low end, not the high end, because we don't want to hurt anybody. And pretty well, but you and I both figured this is really the biggest trading partnership in the world, so we should give it a shot, right?
Yeah. Very much looking forward to that.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do too. Any questions, please?
On Friday, you put the chances of a deal at 50%, maybe less. It seems like you're in quite a good mood. How would you rate those chances now?
I'm actually not in a good mood, but I will tell you, I think the chances are, yeah, I think Ursula would say probably 50-50 of making a deal. I hope, you know, I'd like to make a deal. I think it's good for both, but yeah, I'd say 50-50.
And what would you say the main sticking points are at this moment?
We have 3 or 4 sticking points. I'd rather not get in. We'll be discussing them. But I think the main sticking point is fairness. Okay. Please.
Why you're in a bad mood? Was it a bad morning of golf, or why you're not in a good mood?
No, the golf was beautiful. It's golf can never be bad, even if you play badly. It's still good. If you had a bad day on the golf course, it's okay. It's better than other days. But no, I think I look forward to this meeting. You know, we've had a hard time with trade with Europe, very hard time, and I'd like to see it resolved. But if it isn't, we'll, you know, have tariffs, and they'll do what they have to do. But we have a good chance of getting it resolved. We'll probably know in about an hour. Shouldn't take that long. It's, you know, it's complicated, but not really complicated when you get right down to it, right?
Well, pharmaceutical.
August 1st deadline? Is there any chance that is?
No. The August 1st is there for everyone. The deals all start on August 1st. Most of the deals, other than steel and aluminum, which we've been getting 50% tariffs from I guess just about everybody, and those have come in, and we've taken in, hundreds of billions of dollars just on steel and aluminum. You've seen the numbers. We had a tremendous amount of money come in over the last month, and it's coming in, very rapidly, which is fair. We have a lot of steel mills and plants, aluminum mills and plants being built. We have a lot of AI being built, and we have a lot of auto plants being built or going to be built because they don't want to pay tariffs. So, if they don't want to pay tariffs, the best way to do it is just build your plant in the United States. Yes, please.
What do you expect from the Europeans in terms of opening their markets to American products?
Well, they have to open up to American products. We're open to European products, and we have been for forever. I don't think we have, we just about don't have any, I don't think we have any product that we say you can't sell. I guess you could get a little bit cute with chips, but that's, a little bit different category too. No, Europe is very closed. We don't sell cars into Europe. We don't sell essentially agriculture of any great degree. They want to have their farmers do it, and they want to have their car companies do it. I'm not saying anything that nobody knows. We have a rough situation. If we want to sell cars in Europe, we're not allowed to. And as you know, they sell millions and millions of cars, Mercedes, BMW, so many different, Volkswagen, so many different cars, and so many millions of cars. I would imagine number one, I didn't look at that, but I would imagine number one by far, more so than even Japan. Japan sells a lot of cars too. But the Japan deal worked out very favorable, very good. I hope for them too. And that's what we want to do, make everybody happy. Yes, please.
Mr. President, should Israel be doing more to allow food into Gaza?
Say it.
Should Israel be doing more to allow food into Gaza?
What did you say?
Should Israel be doing more to allow food into Gaza?
Well, we gave $60 million 2 weeks ago, and nobody even acknowledged it for food. And it's terrible. You really at least want to have somebody say thank you. No other country gave anything. We gave $60 million 2 weeks ago for food, for Gaza. And nobody acknowledged it. Nobody talks about it. And it makes you feel a little bad when you do that and, you have other countries not giving anything. None of the European countries, by the way, gave. Nobody gave but us. And nobody said, gee, thank you very much. And it would be nice to have at least a thank you. And I took a lot of heat. When I do that, a lot of people aren't happy about that because they say, well, why are we doing it and nobody else? But I think we had a humanitarian reason for doing it. What's going to happen? I don't know. I can tell you that Hamas, as I said would happen, at the end, we've gotten back a lot of hostages, a tremendous number of hostages, most of them. Now we have dead hostages, and the mothers want them back, and we have 20 people approximately, but that are living. But we have a lot of bodies, and the parents want those bodies as much as they would want their child if that child were alive. I met with parents it was so sad. Sir, please get my son back. How is your son doing? Well, he's dead, but they have his body. And it's so important. It's more important. It's almost like more, but it's as important as if the child were living. These people were, they're devastated. And I said, when you get it down to a certain number, you're not going to be able to make a deal with Hamas. Because once they give them up, then they feel that that's going to be the end of them. And what I said is exactly true. They had a routine discussion the other day, and all of a sudden they hardened up. They don't want to give them back. And so Israel's going to have to make a decision. I know what I do, but I don't think it's appropriate that I say, but Israel's going to have to make a decision.
Mr. President, when you were in the Middle East, you talked about the images coming out of Gaza and the starving kids. Those images are still going. Many of them are much worse. Thinner children, starving. What do you see or feel when you look at those images today?
Well, it's terrible. When I see the children, and when I see, especially over the last couple of weeks, and people are stealing the food, they're stealing the money, for the food, they're stealing weapons, they're stealing everything. It's a mess. That whole place is a mess. The Gaza Strip, was given many years ago so that they could have peace. That didn't work out too well. When Israel gave that up, whoever was the prime minister at the time, who I know who it was, but it was not exactly a very clever thing to do, because that was given so that they finally have peace, and it's actually made the situation worse. But we'll see what happens. I think Iran is acting up. I think that we have a lot of people we have Venezuela acting up in a different way. They continue to send people that we rebuff to our border. They continue to send drugs into our country. Venezuela, they've been very nasty, and we can't let that happen. But we have other countries too. We do have, and this is just getting a little off subject, but we have now the safest border we've ever had. And I think in many respects we probably have the most successful, and I say it all the time, every leader, when I went to NATO the other day, every leader said, you have the hottest country in the world. We have the hottest country in the world now. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. We have the highest stock market we've ever had. We have the best numbers we've ever had. But we have hundreds of billions of dollars pouring into our country. And I think it's the hottest. And by the way, 1 year ago, our country was dead. We had a dead country because of an incompetent president and incompetent Democrats. All they know how to do is talk and think about conspiracy theories and nonsense. If they'd waste their time talking about America being great again, it would be so much nicer, so much easier, be very successful. But we were a dead country, and now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. Yeah, any other questions?
President Trump, on this particular deal, if you manage to do a deal today, will that be the end of the matter, or could there be more tariffs coming, particularly on pharmaceuticals?
No, if we do a deal today with the European Union, that will be the end of it. Yeah, we'll go, I guess, a number of years at least before we have to even discuss it again. No, that would be the end of it. And this is the biggest deal. People don't realize this is bigger than any other deal. We have great countries. I'm familiar with many of them. So are you. And this is really the biggest deal. This is I guess we're the biggest out there, and they're the second. And when we come together, this will be the biggest deal. If that happens, and it could happen, should happen. Okay? Thank you.
Will pharmaceuticals be part of today's?
No, it won't. Pharmaceuticals will be, could be, we'll do something, but basically pharmaceuticals won't be part of it because we have to have them made in the United States, and we want them made in the United States. And I think it's easy to say, and I think it's important to say pharmaceuticals are very special. We can't be in a position where we're relying on other countries. Now, Europe is going to make pharmaceuticals, drugs, and everything else for us too, a lot, but we're going to have also our own.
A question for President von der Leyen, please.
Yes.
Can you give your assessment of what you feel the chances are of the deal? The president just talked about a 50-50 chance, and the biggest obstacle being fairness. What would you say are those things for you?
I think the president is right. We have a 50 to 50% chance to strike a deal. And indeed, it is about rebalancing. So you can call it fairness, you can call it rebalancing. We have a surplus, the United States has a deficit, and we have to rebalance it. We have an excellent trade relation. It's a huge volume of trade that we have together. So we will make it more sustainable.
Mr. Trump, can you do better than 15% tariff rate for the EU?
Better meaning lower?
Yeah.
No.
Mr. President, to return to Gaza, you're going to meet the British Prime Minister tomorrow. He's going to ask you to consider again peace talks between Israel and Hamas. Are you now saying there is no point in trying to resolve?
Well, we're meeting about a lot of things. We have our trade deal, and it's been a great deal. It's good for them and good for us, I think. The UK is very happy. They've been trying for 12 years to get it, and they got it, and it's a great trade deal for both. It works out very well. But we'll be discussing that. I think we're going to be discussing a lot about Israel. They're very much involved in terms of wanting something to happen. He's doing a very good job, by the way.
Also in Gaza, sir, did you speak with Prime Minister Netanyahu this weekend about getting more aid into Gaza?
I talked to him, yeah, I did. I talked to him about a lot of things. I talked to him about Iran. I think Iran's been very nasty with their words, with their mouth. I think they've been very nasty. They got the hell knocked out of them, and I don't think they know it. I actually don't think they know it. They really do. The whole thing's a con job. We have a lot of con jobs going on. But Iran was beaten up very badly, for good reason. We cannot have them have a nuclear weapon. But they still talk about enrichment. I mean, who would do that? You just come out of something that's so bad, and they talk about, we want to continue enrichment. Who would say that? How stupid can you be to say that? So we're not going to allow that to happen. We're not allowing that to happen.
Did you talk about more aid into Gaza?
Will I do more aid? Yeah. The U.S. is going to do more aid for Gaza, but we'd like to have other countries participate. We're going to mention that to the European Union today. That's an international problem. It's not a U.S. problem. It's an international problem. And we're giving a lot of money and a lot of food and a lot of everything. If we weren't there, I think people would have starved, frankly. They would have starved. And it's not like they're eating well. But a lot of that food is getting stolen by Hamas. They're stealing the food. They're stealing a lot of things. You ship it in and they steal it. Then they sell it.
On Friday you said that Europe is being crushed by mass migration, and I wonder whether your friends on this side of the room agree with you on that.
Well, I'd let you respond to that if you like.
So we have been working intensively on the topic of irregular migration. And we have, from the very beginning, said that migration is a European challenge that needs a European answer. As Europeans, we will fulfill our international obligations, as we've done in the past, also in the future. But we, as Europeans, are the ones who decide who comes to the European Union and under what circumstances, and not the smugglers and traffickers. That's the principle in which we are working.
I will say this, they did ask me when I got off the plane, immigration, Europe has a tremendous problem, and we do too, but we've sealed our borders. We have nobody coming in, and we have hundreds of thousands of people being taken out, and the bad ones first, and I think we're doing a very good job of that. But it literally registered 0 people last month. You probably saw that, nobody. And Europe has a very similar problem. I think they're going to end up in the same place. You might as well go there quicker. And the other thing I say to Europe, we will not allow a windmill to be built in the United States. They're killing us. They're killing the beauty of our scenery, our valleys, our beautiful plains. And I'm not talking about airplanes. I'm talking about beautiful plains, beautiful areas in the United States. And you look up and you see windmills all over the place. It's a horrible thing. It's the most expensive form of energy. It's no good. They're made in China, almost all of them. When they start to rust and rot in 8 years, you can't really turn them off. You can't bury them. They won't let you bury the propellers, the props, because there's a certain type of fiber that doesn't go well with the land. That's what they say. The environmentalists say you can't bury them because the fiber doesn't go well with the land. In other words, if you bury it, it will harm our soil. The whole thing is a con job. It's very expensive. And in all fairness, Germany tried it, and wind doesn't work. You need subsidy for wind, and energy should not need subsidy. With energy, you make money. You don't lose money. But more important than that is it ruins the landscape. It kills the birds. They're noisy. You have a certain place in the Massachusetts area that over the last 20 years had 1 or 2 whales wash ashore, and over the last short period of time, they had 18, okay? Because it's driving them loco. It's driving them crazy. Now, windmills will not come. It's not going to happen in the United States, and it's very expensive, and I would love to see. Today I'm playing the best course, I think, in the world, Turnberry. Even though I own it, it's probably the best course in the world, right? And I look over the horizon and I see 9 windmills. It's like right at the end of the 18th. I said, isn't that a shame? What a shame. You have the same thing all over Europe in particular. You have windmills all over the place. Some of the countries prohibit it, but people ought to know that these windmills are very destructive. They're environmentally unsound, just the exact opposite. Because the environmentalists, they're not really environmentalists. They're political hacks. These are people that they almost want to harm the country. But you look at these beautiful landscapes all over the world. Many countries have gotten smart. They will not allow it. They will not. It's the worst form of energy, the most expensive form of energy. But windmills should not be allowed. Okay.
Cambodia and Thailand. You spoke to leaders of those countries.
I did.
Are they doing enough to stop the fire?
I hope so. You're talking about Cambodia and Thailand? So I had an interesting time. We're dealing with Thailand, and we do a lot of trade with Thailand and with Cambodia. And yet, I'm reading that they're killing each other. They're fighting. They're in a war. And I say, this should be an easy one for me because I've settled with India and Pakistan, and Serbia and Kosovo was going at it, but they have for a long time, in all fairness. So you know about that. And others, the Congo. And what's gone on there. That's been a horrible thing with Rwanda. That's been a horrible thing. 31 years, 7 million, 8 million people killed. Machetes all over the place. It's a terrible thing. We got that one solved. We did 5 of them. And I was saying, we have a trade deal. We were working on another. We finalized another trade deal yesterday. And I asked my people, I said, how are we doing with Cambodia and how are we doing with Thailand? And they say they're going to be coming in at some point to talk. I said, well, let's call them right now. So I called the prime ministers of each. And I said, we're not going to make a trade deal unless you settle the war. A lot of people are killed, that in a short period of time. The border, they're fighting pretty like wild. And I spoke to both of the prime ministers, and I think by the time I got off, I think they want to settle now. I know they're meeting today or tomorrow, and we're going to work with them. Marco Rubio's working with them also, his people, and him. I think we're going to get that. That would be a great thing, but that would have turned out to be a bad one. And I will tell you, India and Pakistan, they were really getting ready to go at it. So getting those things settled, if I can do it, and if I can use trade to do that, it's my honor. But I had great talks with 2 very good people that they both really would like to make a deal. So we'll see what happens. Okay, how about 1 more, 2 more?
Mr. President, Europe's now spending a lot more on defense thanks to you. Does that
they
mean
are.
Should they get a fairer deal on trade and exchange?
Well, they're spending a lot on defense, but we're spending a lot more. And we've been very generous to NATO for many, many years. And but we had a terrific meeting with NATO. I'd love to do as well. We had a meeting where they put up 5% instead of 2%, and they're going to pay it instead of not paying, because many people didn't pay the 2% or anywhere near it, and the 2% was too low. And we're going to be sending now military equipment and other equipment to NATO, and they'll be doing what they want, but I guess for the most part working with Ukraine. But we had a fantastic meeting. I guess it's now almost 4 weeks ago. One of the best meetings they've ever had at NATO, and the spirit and the coming together was incredible. And I stood and I listened to almost 30 speeches. That was a lot. And I was really late, and I had to leave, but I didn't want to leave before those last 10 spoke, because they'd go home and they'd tell their wife, Trump left. And they were so nice to the United States. They were all mentioning the United States, and me, but they were mentioning the United States to be here. It's such an honor, et cetera. And I thought it would have been inappropriate. But I did stay. It was very hard, because I was extremely late for something else that was, pretty important. And we had a tremendous NATO meeting. I'm sure you heard that too. Yep. It was great. There's some great people that you deal with on 2 fronts, right? But you deal with on primarily the trade front. But I will tell you, they came together, and the relationship is really good. That was it's an interesting question, because you probably have reported it that way. It really, we came together, and they went from 2% to 5%, which nobody would have thought that was even. Who would even think that? Because they didn't want to be at 2%. All of a sudden, they're 5%. And that's the right number. And so It was a great honor. I got to know the heads of those countries really very well at that meeting almost a month ago. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody. We'll let you know what's happening.
Will you be visiting your Irish golf course anytime soon, Doonbeg?
I will. I love Doonbeg. I'll go. It's not in the Strip, but I'll go soon. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, so that was interesting. I'm not a body language expert, but if I was, that spoke volumes. It was like, oh, wow. Either she really hates Trump that much, or she knows she's about to get the spanking of a lifetime in about an hour, he said. So he plans on being in and out of there in under an hour. That's what he said. He goes, this shouldn't take long. And so he's probably presenting them with the number and saying either take it or leave it. It's not a whole lot of negotiation. When a president is talking to the leader of another country and he tells you in advance, this ain't going to take long, we should be out of here in an hour, that means he's already got his number in his head, and it's either take it or we're going to turn the switch off and you can't deal with us. One or the other. Your choice at this point. I got to be on a tea time at 2 o'clock, so tickety tick tock. She didn't look happy at all, which tells me, well, shouldn't tell me, but leads me to start thinking, this is a world leader, the president of the European Union. Is she really in charge? Because I would be thinking to myself, there would be a much more forceful person telling people what I want. He insulted her to her face. Literally, yeah, your windmills and your crazy stuff and your immigration and your country's turned into crap. And she sat there. I'm like, wait, no, you can't do that in my house, Donald. No, you're in Europe, right? No, she just sat there and she took the spanking, which tells me he's probably going to announce a deal in a couple hours. Because, it was interesting. He goes, hey, you look like you're happy. Because I'm not happy. So he it's bad enough negotiating with him when he's in a good mood. Can't even imagine negotiating with him when he's in a bad mood. Not sure why he's in a bad mood. Maybe this woman or whoever is on her team is causing issues, but we're about to find out. So just to give you a little idea of as what he is talking about, as of today, the Japanese deal was monstrous. $550 billion. $550 billion is what the Japanese deal was. He just told you that this deal with Europe would be much, much bigger. So if this is going to be the biggest deal ever, as he says, it's got to be north of 550 billion. Which should be quite interesting in terms of if that is the case. That should be a lot. And I was going to show you before they came on this piece with Howard Lutnick, because it's interesting because he goes over those same numbers. Listen to this.
So the tariff revenues are amazing, right? $700 billion a year. That's just net new money the government never had before. So you take that every year for 10 years, that's $7 trillion. And then what they're not counting is the way the president is smashing open these markets. You got every market, right? Japan, Indonesia, Vietnam, you name the deal he does, and he opens that market. That's going to have export growth, right? Never before has our ag and our industrials actually had access to these markets. We're meeting later today with the European Union. The president's goal, get those markets open for Americans to export to them. And that growth is going to pay for everything. It makes Americans richer. And, of course, our tax revenues go up the right way by Americans making more money by winning in business.
Now remember, Howard Lutnick was the guy who, throughout the campaign, was the one who was talking about tariffs. And we're going to be so rich with tariffs. And he was the one who was hinting very often, we're not going to need income tax. Because we're going to reclaim a bunch of money that people have been taking from us, and we're going to make them pay. And we're going to grow the economy. So if you add and start stacking all those things together, why are we basically stealing from the American people so much? So if you look at the big scorecard here, which nobody in the media wants to point out, if I'm reducing all this government waste through Doge, billions and billions and billions. If I'm clawing back money from Europe, and you're going to pay, and you're going to pay. If we're allowed to sell into these countries, the business here is going to grow. You put all that together, and it spells surplus. It spells more money than we need. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the cherry on top. If the interest rates drop, then obviously the amount of money you need to satisfy debt reduces tremendously. And so we're seeing this kind of thing happening in our economy right now. And it doesn't matter if you took freshman year economics. If this starts happening, that means the rest of the stuff is going to flourish. Because the more money in your pocket, more than likely the more money you're going to spend. The more money you accumulate, the more you're going to consume. People are going to restaurants. People are going to movies. Hopefully not the ones that suck. They're traveling. They're doing all kinds of things, which means it's putting money back into the economy. And by forcing these companies to pay the tariffs, it's also forcing people to look at things and go, I want to pay for this because it's here in America. And so nobody has ever seen this before, and it's completely freaking them out. It's shaking the snow globe known as the world economy and saying it's going to be based upon us. How can you possibly, anybody, even if you hate Trump, how can you possibly not like the idea of having more money in your bank account? I mean, it's coming down to something that simple. When we start talking to people, all your different causes around the world, the Gaza and Israel and the Palestinians and this and that and the other thing, and LGBTQ, it still always comes back to this. And when Americans open the app and look at their bank account, all of those causes are dependent upon this, what you see in that app. And so even if you, and I've said this before he got elected, even if you hate Trump, you despise MAGA, all of us are maggots, you might want to just start adding thank you to your vocabulary. You might want to say, I hate Trump. He's the orange man. Thank you, but I still hate Trump. Because if you don't say thank you to everything he's doing, it's making you look like a complete moron, an utter moron. So don't come at me with this Epstein list crap. Don't come at me with he's bad for this or for that, because everything involving your life, whatever your cause is, he's making you better. Not just the Republicans, not MAGA, but even the Democrats and lived crazies, even the guys that want to go out there and put on a dress. He's making your life better. Which was funny. Robin had posted a video of some guy in a dress going into Ulta beauty supplies. And I'm thinking to myself, anybody else seeing the hypocrisy in this? Dylan Mulvaney just got signed to do a movie making gazillions of dollars. And I'm like, am I the only one who's seeing that this is completely insane? This guy in a dress goes into Ulta Beauty. He gets a partnership with Ulta Beauty to do what? To help them sell products. So if they sell more products, then his sponsorship makes him more money. And it makes the company more money. How are you going to sell products even if some guy in a beard is pushing a woman's product? The only way you can sell that product is if people have money to pay for it. So even if you hate Trump, even if you despise everything that the conservative movement is about, these people are making money because of what Trump is doing, while at the same time bitching about it. So when you see that video, maybe you should comment on the video. You should just say, thank you, Trump, because that's what they should be saying. If you've ever been into an Ulta beauty shop, you know some of the stuff is cheap and some of the stuff's expensive. I don't even know what the price tag is on that guy's stuff that he's pushing. And Robin, being a woman, laughed at him like, women don't act like that. I'm like, that's not the point. The point you need to focus on is that company and that dude in a dress with a beard is making a bunch of money because consumers who are going to have more money in their pocket can go into Ulta Beauty and buy his crappy stuff. Thank you, Trump. That is the answer right now. And I'm sorry if there's some trolls in here who are like, oh, yeah, he's right. I pay for my cable. I pay for my wireless. Everything that you do to protest is generated by the money Trump is going to provide for you. Let that sink in. Oh, my goodness. It's crazy. That's why I don't want to shop there, because of men in a dress wearing women clothes. Property taxes are local, not federal. Correct. Barry, stop preaching. Get back to the news analysis. I'm not preaching. That's called an opinion. Sorry, you might be new here, but that's what I was talking. But in any event, you are correct. The show and President Trump's appearance in the European Union meeting is over. This wasn't an actual show. My show, I'm probably going to go live at 3 or 4 p.m., depending on what the weather's like, if we can get some pool time in. But we'll see what happens. But at 3 or 4 o'clock, I'll do a full show because I'll have all the information from the Sunday news shows. I can't wait to see what I can pull in there. I've already seen some really wild clips. So we'll go ahead and talk about that. Marcus Anderson, yeah, Camel truck trolls have been silent lately. Yeah. Not much for them to crow about. All right, so let me see if there's any super chats in here, and if there are, let me address them, and then you guys can go. It's probably not too late to get to church. Maybe might be a little bit late for church if you haven't gone yet, but we'll reconvene with a regular show at, what is this? Who keeps texting me? Is this Ashley? Ashley's going to be here tomorrow with the kids. I can't wait. Oh, that's BLS telling me Bitcoin is back on the move. Yes, it is. Money time. I hope you're not afraid of making money. I really don't. Some people are, but anyway, I love the BLS guy and Marcus Anderson and everything that those guys are doing. Excuse me. All right, let's go here. Barry, could you explain private equity and 401k proposal that Trump is thinking about implementing? I'll do that this afternoon or tomorrow because I do have an interview with somebody that might be able to really delve into that. But private equity, private money, is now looking to help you drive your 401k. And that's also going to be part of what Bitcoin and everything else is going on. But I'll delve into that. Thank you, Job for 9. That's a good topic to get into. I don't have my pen. Oh, here's my pen. Private equity 401k. Okay, I'll do that. Barry, please apply towards the Bibles. Thank you very much. Yes, and just to let what David Dix just said, I believe the link is working. So if you guys would like to request a free Bible, please go to fanfareshop.org/Bible and go ahead and put your information in it, and we'll get you on the list to get your free Bible. Now understand, we're backed up, but we're getting through them. Every single day, like 20 or 30 of them go out. So we are mowing through it, but if you want one, go ahead and go to fanfareshop.org/Bible. And while we're talking about doing stuff, if you'd like to be a part of our videos where people are putting submitting videos to put on the show, go to fanfareshop.org/submit-video, and you can post a 1-minute video where we'll use it in the show, and everybody can see it. I got an email from somebody. I don't know if she's listening today, but Judy, who was from Littleton, is that the area? Littleton, Colorado. There are a number of people who live in your area who say they want to get a hold of you. So if you're Judy, that's one of the things. People can now talk and say, hey, I know her, I live there. Yeah, we can do that too. All right, let me continue. Prime Minister Carney has flat out told us the plan for seizing our money if they don't like what we buy or say, and it seems like most sheeple just let it go over their head and accept the idea. We're in trouble up in Canada. Yeah, the lady in that video about the central digital currency where they want to rule the world with your money is the president of the European Bank. She works with Ursula, the president of the EU, and that was her early in that video. Christina Lagarde, I believe is her name, and how they want to take control of the money. Tilly, good afternoon. Barry and Fanfare, thank you. Hello, Viking King. Y'all have to know this deal between Trump and Obama was prescripted at Carter's funeral. Now it's playing out. That's what a lot of people are thinking, is that was on those cards. We shall see. Anya Garbawi. Loved your show, Barry. Waiting every day for your shows. I am Ukrainian born and raised. Hate what's happening. I blame Democrats for it. Started in 2014. Exactly. Not in 2022. Exactly. Tina Young. Trump is the GOAT. Beverly Litton. Lib media is deceiving people worldwide. Years ago, Glenn Beck sounded the alarm that Davos globalists want to conquer the world, and its plan is in Europe today. Islamist goal is to make Islamist extremists the worldwide religion. I haven't heard yet. They won't release, as of the time I went on, the identity of the guy who was stabbing everybody yesterday in Michigan. And the only reason he was stopped was because a guy with a gun said, stop. Otherwise, he would have kept going after people. Yet the two eight nuts who don't want to have any guns, want you to not have any, they're very silent now. They can't talk. This guy went around and stabbed a whole bunch of people, and a good guy with a gun stopped him. And what was very interesting is, they don't want to release who he is. Well, I'm not at liberty to tell you right now. Why? Why can't you tell everybody who it was who did this dirty deed? Well, we'll find out soon enough. Daylight. There is no Europe no more. Just the EU run by globalists. Exactly. Man, my best vacation, let me just take a second. My best vacation with Robin is when we got to go to Rome. And growing up as a Catholic, you know, the whole idea of the Vatican was so, I can't wait to see the Vatican. So as an adult with my wife, we got to go and we went to Europe. We spent about 2 weeks there. And we went to Rome. We stayed most of the time. Then we also went to Florence as well to see the David. And while we were in Rome, it was simply amazing. I had to get my walking shoes on because she about walked me to death because you have to walk everywhere. But I got to see it all, even the catacombs of the Vatican. And, you know, the whole Vatican City and then the town of Rome and just other castles. Amazing. The river, all of it was amazing. And I see the stuff on news today and go, oh, God. Why don't we just reopen the Colosseum? Can we bring in some lions? I mean, seriously. You know, walking through the Colosseum, you just feel the aura of what went on there. And yeah, it's a dark place in some regard, but it's magnificent. And now you see what's happening in Europe, and you're like, can we start again? Can we just start doing it again? Be right back. Time for me to eat. Hey, Neo. Hi, Barry and team. Always love to watch you live. Sometimes I can't because of work. Appreciate your news and opinions. Thank you, brother. Great job as always. Trolls by, exactly. Clayton Taylor, thanks for getting the truth out there. Saves me a lot of time looking for wrong and negative sources. All right, so doing a full show, like I said, about 3 or 4 p.m. So, you know, do what you guys need to do today. Go to the beach, hang out with the family, go to church, do some prayers. And then we'll see each other at 3 or 4. We got a late arrival here. G. Fisher, thank you to the Fanfare Newswork. Another great show. Now I have to resort to Newsmax for a while. I'm sorry you got to go slumming. But anyway, I want you guys to have a good day. And we'll be back here, in about 3 or 4 hours. All right. And if it's a little bit later, but we'll still see you later. But have fun today.